Richard Carter had built one of America's largest business empires from nothing. His face appeared on magazine covers. Business channels analyzed his every move, and people assumed his only son would inherit a life of private jets, luxury penthouses, and unlimited wealth. But behind the glass walls of the Carter family's Manhattan mansion, Richard believed that money without character was the fastest way to destroy a person. On the morning of Ethan Carter's 25th birthday, the family gathered in the company's executive boardroom instead of celebrating at a five-star hotel. The room overlooked the New York skyline, where the empire Richard had spent 40 years building stretched across countless buildings and investments. "I've already prepared your future," Richard said calmly, sliding a single envelope across the polished table. Ethan smiled, expecting the documents naming him the next CEO. Instead, he found a simple job application. Position, gas station attendant. Location, Cedar Falls, Ohio. Salary, $16.75 per hour. Ethan looked up, confused. There has to be some mistake. "There isn't," Richard replied. "Starting Monday, you'll work there for 1 year." The room fell silent. "You won't use the Carter name. No trust fund, no bodyguards, no company credit cards. You'll rent a small apartment, pay every bill yourself, and earn every dollar honestly." "And if I refuse?" Richard's eyes never moved. "You'll lose your inheritance." The words landed like a punch. By the following week, Ethan was standing behind the counter of Miller's Fuel and Market, wearing a faded blue uniform with a cheap plastic name tag that simply read, Ethan. The smell of gasoline clung to his clothes. His hands, once used to signing business proposals, were now cleaning fuel pumps, stocking shelves, and mopping muddy floors after long shifts. Nobody cared who he was. Customers complained when coffee wasn't hot enough. Truck drivers tossed crumpled bills onto the counter without making eye contact. One impatient businessman snapped his fingers and barked, "Move faster, kid! Time is money!" For the first time in his life, Ethan realized what it felt like to be invisible. As he locked the store that night, exhausted and alone, he noticed an old woman counting coins beside pump number 4. Her hands trembled as she whispered, "I just need enough gas to get to the hospital." Ethan looked at the tiny pile of coins in her hand and made a decision that would quietly change the course of his entire life. The old woman kept staring at the handful of quarters and dollar bills in her shaking hands. She looked embarrassed, avoiding Ethan's eyes as if asking for help was the hardest thing she had ever done. "My husband is at St. Mary's Hospital," she whispered. "He had another heart attack this morning. I thought I had enough gas to get there. But I was wrong." Without saying a word, Ethan picked up the fuel nozzle and filled her tank. When she asked how much she owed, he simply smiled. "It's already taken care of." Tears welled up in her eyes. "Young man," she said softly, "people don't do things like this anymore." She drove away before he could answer. That evening, his manager, Mike Sullivan, reviewed the security cameras and called Ethan into the tiny office behind the convenience store. "You paid for that gas yourself, didn't you?" Ethan nodded. Mike sighed. "You make $16 an hour. You can't afford to rescue every customer who walks in here." "I know. Then why do it?" Ethan paused. "Because she couldn't afford not to get there." Mike looked at him for a long moment before quietly saying, "Your father raised you right." The words stung. If only Mike knew who his father really was. Over the next few weeks, Ethan settled into a routine. He learned the names of regular customers, remembered which truck drivers preferred black coffee, and greeted every customer with the same respect, whether they drove a rusty pickup or a brand-new Mercedes. One rainy Friday evening, a dented minivan rolled slowly into the station. A young woman stepped out, holding the hand of a little girl wearing a pink hoodie. The child looked pale, her small head covered with a knitted cap despite the warm weather. The woman inserted her debit card. Declined. She tried again. Declined. Her shoulders dropped. "I'm sorry," she told the little girl with a trembling smile. "We'll figure something out." The child looked up at her mother. "Mom, are we still going to the children's hospital?" The woman couldn't answer. She simply turned away so her daughter wouldn't see the tears filling her eyes. Ethan's heart sank. He quietly activated the pump from inside the store, charging the fuel to his own bank card before anyone noticed. The woman rushed inside moments later. "There must be a mistake," she said. "The pump started working." Ethan smiled naturally. "Looks like our system glitched. It happens sometimes." She thanked him over and over before driving away. As the taillights disappeared into the rainy night, Ethan had no idea that this small act of kindness would pull him into a family's desperate fight for survival and become the greatest test of his life. The image of the little girl in the pink hoodie stayed with Ethan long after his shift ended. He couldn't stop thinking about the fear in her mother's eyes or the way the child had tried to smile despite looking so weak. The next afternoon, the same minivan pulled into the station. This time, Ethan walked outside before they reached the pump. "Good to see you again," he said with a warm smile. The little girl smiled back. "Hi, my name is Lily." "I'm Ethan." Her mother introduced herself as Sarah, a single mom who worked double shifts as a nursing assistant at a local retirement home. She apologized for the previous night, explaining that unexpected medical bills had drained her savings. "Lily has leukemia," Sarah admitted quietly. "We've been driving to Columbus Children's Hospital every week for treatment." For a moment, Ethan couldn't find the right words. Lily, unaware of the weight of the conversation, proudly held up a drawing she had made with crayons. It showed a bright yellow gas station, a smiling worker in a blue uniform, and a rainbow stretching across the sky. "That's you," she said. "Mom says kind people are like rainbows. They show up when everything feels dark." Ethan felt his throat tighten. No boardroom, business award, or luxury car had ever made him feel the way that simple drawing did. Before leaving, Sarah handed him a folded $20 bill. "I found out the pump didn't glitch," she said gently. "Your manager told me what you did. I can't keep your money." Ethan pushed the bill back into her hand. "Use it to buy Lily her favorite ice cream after treatment." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "You don't even know us." "I don't have to." As they drove away, Mike stepped outside carrying 2 cups of coffee. "You've got a good heart, Ethan," he said. "People like you are hard to find." Hundreds of miles away in New York, Richard Carter sat silently in his office, watching security footage from the gas station that had been sent to him every week. He watched his son comfort strangers, work without complaint, and give away money he could barely afford to earn. For the first time in years, the billionaire wasn't studying Ethan's business skills. He was watching him become the kind of man no amount of money could ever create. And neither father nor son knew that an event just days away would put Ethan's courage to the ultimate test and reveal the truth that would change all of their lives forever.